Are you tired of FNAF yet? We don't think you are tired of FNAF yet. Will the world ever be done with this franchise? Will we all be 80 and still be playing this game? These are the questions. It's time to revisit the scary world of Five Nights, but this time we're heading back to the fan-made world because let's be honest, it's even scarier. Because some FNAF fans just have too much time and imagination on their hands and pride themselves on freaking us all out even more, with fan-made games and their own fan-made designs on animatronics. Today we'll be looking at the top 10 scary Fan Animatronics Part 2. Yay! And that's right, I said Part 2, so if you haven't checked out the Part 1 to this list, you should. Connor hosts it, and it's hilarious. I did watch it myself. And feel free to check out all of our other FNAF content as well. There is so much of it. For now, let's get counting. Number 10, Doug. Have you ever wondered what a terrifying animatronic version of the dog from Pixar's Up would be like? Well, whether or not you have, here you go. That was the inspiration for this fan-made animatronic. I think one of the most frightening things about this one is the rectangular eye holes. There's just something so different about that, it just freaks me out. Like, the eye holes are rectangular, but the eyes are like an oval. And I'm like, that's so much extra space. Number 9, Torture Kitty. So although the fan-made game that Torture Kitty was meant to appear in was never finished, I still feel like she is so terrifying just in her texture alone that we need to talk about her. Her skin color looks almost like cork or Play-Doh, but it also kind of just reminds me of like ground up meat or somewhat molten flesh, just based on the pink pale color that it has. Her eyes look like their sockets were carved out, and her eyes themselves glow an intense orange. She wears a dark, shiny red hat and brandishes a gold-tipped cane, all the better to beat you with, likely, if you were to run into her in the actual game. Not that that'll ever happen. Number 8, Funtime Plaza Freddy. This fan-made version of Freddy is darker and is missing one eye, but it is also covered in glow-in-the-dark neon stars. Literally, they look like they're attached. In fact, it's really the glow-in-the-dark and sort of neon aspects that really made him so alarming to me. There's something about not being able to fully see, having limited visibility, but still being aware of something coming for you in the dark that always gets to me. The neon on this version just gives me those feels. It's like I know you're there, but I can't quite see you. Number 7, Chica fan art. So while we already have a Withered Chica in the actual world of FNAF, who is pretty terrifying, there is also fan-made versions of her, who are even more frightening than her official withered self. One fan-made version of Withered Chica had her arms gone from the shoulders down, as opposed to just her hands gone. She also has darkened eyes and no beak, with tiny teeth just visible in the dark hole that is her mouth. And there are countless other fan-made versions of Withered Chica that are even more terrifying than the original. Not to mention, there is a lot of suggestive artwork involving her, which is also just strange and terrifying to stumble upon. Not even like in a scary sense, just in a why does Chica have to be sexy sense? What's happening? People like her a little too much, I think, is what's going on. Number 6, Ghoul Balloon Boy. So while this version of Balloon Boy only appears briefly in the fan-made Return to Freddy's and is only a hallucination, he remains pretty terrifying looking. First of all, he looks worn down and somewhat dirty. He's missing an eye and his mouth almost has like little stitch marks around it despite being completely open. So I don't know what's going on there. Was his mouth stitched and then he opened it and he just pulled through the stitches and oh, I just thought of something gross. Blah. From the tilt of his head to what appears to be a hammer in his bloody little hand, this Balloon Boy would even likely terrify the original Balloon Boy. Who would win in a BB off? Number 5, Helper the Bird. Obsolete is a fan-made FNAF spin-on game. Also, I gotta say, design-wise, it's pretty looking. I mean, as far as horror survivals go. It's pretty. The animatronics featured in this game are original. One of them is known as Helper the Bird. Instead of the game taking place at Freddy's Pizzeria, the game actually takes place at a different family restaurant featuring animatronics known as Stumpy's Playhouse. Wow, what a name. When Helper's eyes turn from green to red, the terrifying bird who hides somewhat in the shadows in the corner of the room will attack you. You play a terrifying game of hide and seek with Helper and the other animatronics at the restaurant. You also get to play a little mini game in it. Number 4, Scrap Laura. This fan-made version of Ballora reimagines her with 3 spindly metallic legs, almost like a spider. Her hands are reimagined as claws with razor-sharp nails attached, and her face looks as if it has melted or rusted away somewhat. She appears to also be used as a pin cushion, with big pins sticking out of her shoulders and head. But for some reason, the thing I find most disturbing about this design is her almost lack of a nose. She has just this really small, smooshed-looking nose that just creeps me out. Why are we as humans so freaked out by a lack of nose on a face? Why does that make weird things happen in my brain? I don't know, but there is a tipping point from just really cute, like, small noses to just plain out creepiness when something is too small on your face. The other scary thing about Ballora is how much artwork there is focusing on making her look sexy. Why is there so much artwork about this, guys? What is happening? People always wanting to try. I get wanting to make the animatronics look cute, but there's a line. People are crossing it. Number 3, Freakshow Ballora. So, what could be more scary than Ballora with multiple metallic sharp legs? How about a Ballora with multiple arms? This version of Freakshow Ballora combines multiple arms that end in claw-like wiry hands with an overall withered look, including a particularly disturbing withered mouth, to give you a nightmarish sight. Seriously though, this version of Ballora looks so worn down and almost Insight-like, ain't nobody can make this version of her look sexy. To any designers that are watching, that's not a challenge, by the way. Please do not send me links to artwork of a Freakshow Ballora that looks sexy. I don't need it. But also if you have it, I will click it, I'm not gonna lie. Number 2, Scrap Bonnie. So there are a few different fan-made versions of Scrap Bonnie, but this one is by far one of the most terrifying. This fan-made Scrap Bonnie imagines the animatronic armed with an axe that replaces its right arm. It has bright purple eyes, a hole in its chest that reveals a glowing endoskeleton, and exposed wire on its left arm that looks as though it has metal claws. Not a version of Bonnie that seems very family-friendly. This Bonnie would likely be resorted to staying in the dark and backstage, only coming out at night to try and, I guess, chop up the player and stuff them in a suit with its axe arm? Yikes. Some of these designs I'm always like, would this be for a family restaurant though? Like, why did this get made? Number 1, Withered Puppet. Okay, so Puppet has always been the most terrifying animatronic to me. And this version, well, it really just kills me. It takes it to a whole other level. And I mean, if I ever met this version of Puppet, I'm sure that it would actually kill me too, because it's terrifying. This is a withered version we have yet to see in the games. The puppet's face is all torn, and its body looks as though it has been somewhat grinded up, with lots of wires sticking out of it. The teeth in its mouth I find equally disturbing. Its wires also seem to be red and blue, unless that's just the lighting, but it still seems to be holding on to a few buttons on its chest somehow, despite having no external skin really on its waist. Just a bunch of exposed wire. Don't look at me. Don't look at me, Puppet. Ah! Thank you so much for watching. I hope these animatronics won't keep you up at night like they probably will me. Looking at too many fan-made versions of the Puppet, it will mess you up, let me tell you. Don't do it. I wouldn't recommend it. What are some of your favorite fan-made FNAF games? Have you played any fan-made FNAF games? And who do you think is the most frightening animatronic, fan-made wise or even just canon wise? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Shocking Foxxy the Pirate FNAF Facts. Shipwrecked Sandwich Doggo comments, I think the reason Scott put Bonnie in the trailer is because he was the first, and it gave him nightmares. I think you could be right about that, actually. I also like that he had Bonnie taking off his face in the OG trailer. I kind of wish that had actually been in the first game, because I just find that so freaky. Freddy Fazbear says, Foxxy is actually the most popular character in the franchise, followed by Bonnie, then Mangle. Yeah, I could see that being a thing. Foxxy is actually my favorite as well. I also just have, loved pirates since I can remember, so I definitely see the appeal there in general, for people that also love pirates, of which I'm assuming there are many. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts featured in a future video. This has been Top 10 Gaming, and I'm your host, Amanda McKnight, reminding you to keep on gaming on. Pew pew!